And hi, everybody. This is Bill Crespo for Espresso Mastery, and we've got someone that I'm excited about bringing on to the Mastery session. This is Richard Conduit. Say hi, everybody, to Richard Conduit. Richard, thanks for being on.
Hello. Hiya. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Bill.
Richard's in London, and he's not from North Carolina. You can't tell from the accent, but he is from the UK, and he's a specialist in Facebook marketing, social media marketing, and he's been in the real estate business, actually on the mortgage side, for a long time. So Richard, thanks for being on, and just give us a little bit about your background and tell us a little bit about what's happening in the UK and in the real estate business, also mortgage business.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks very much. Thanks for inviting me on, mate. Okay. So yeah, my background originally was in sales. Quite a number of those years were in the mortgage business as well. So I had a 19-year sales career, and I eventually left that to pursue my own business and take up marketing in all its forms online. And I kind of fell into the Facebook side of it, which ended up being quite successful, and it kind of grew from there. The company does two halves, as you know. We do lead generation specifically for brick and mortar businesses like real estate, lead generation, mortgage lead generation, insurance, all sorts of different. We have 11 different niches that we work in. And so we have that side, and then we have the other side, which we do more complex sort of campaigns for people like you, coaches, consultants, that sort of thing, that have all sorts of weird and wonderful funnels that they are, and membership sites that they're trying to run traffic to and get members and sales from. We grew initially through doing mortgage lead generation. I would say that the split was always and always has been 80% in the US and 20% in the UK. And I think that that's for a number of reasons. One is that over there in the US, real estate agents are much more open to and probably want to generate their own leads, and are more in line with the fact that they must invest in their business to generate leads in whatever form, whether that's using, Google and Facebook like we do, or, organically, or leafleting or direct mail, whatever they do.
Right.
Whereas over here, the setup is slightly different.
Why is that different? Why is that so different?
Well, I think because they are not as individual as over in the US. So over here, you tend to be more part of a company, of a real estate company, and the company then, buys leads or advertises in the press and things like that. It's over here you have to get, or I have had to work with companies and generate the leads for the companies, who then divvy it up amongst the agents. And of course, the whole way that the systems work is different as well. So obviously in the US, you want to sell your home, right, look for a real estate agent, and then it brings everything together for you and does everything for you. Over here, it's slightly different. You register your home with an estate agency that put it online, very similar to the Zillow and things like that.
It is a licensed issue, though. Do you have to be licensed, right?
Not licensed. No, there's no actual qualifications for it.
Really?
No. They do have qualifications that they take, yeah. But it's not like in the States. No. So not in the States. It's a lot more of a profession than it is over here. Over here, it's over here, they're not seen as professional people like they are over in the UK.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so over here, that you may go into, let's say you wanted to buy a house, and the other thing as well, it's different. So over here, they have, on every high street, you've got a number of estate agencies, and you can go in and you can see the houses on the walls, and then go in and say, I'm looking for a house in this area, and they'll bring all these, bits and pieces out for the houses that suit what you're looking for, and then try and make arrangements for you to go and see it. The difference is that over there, obviously it's not like that. Over here it is. So you can go in and look at a house, and you may have spoken to a guy called James, and when you come back, 2 months later, James isn't worth it anymore. He's working in, over the road.
He's at another place.
Yeah, so they're all moving around all over the place. It's not really like a self-employed thing over here. So I think over in the US, people take it much more seriously because they know, the successful ones know that generating leads, and then more importantly, which I'm sure you're going to talk about later, following up with those leads and working them properly is their lifeline, and needs to be done, because otherwise they can go and find another,
So they're getting leads from the company. I mean, they're definitely getting leads from, so the company, the estate firm owns the rights to that listing, right? So he leaves, he doesn't leave with the listing, he stays there, right?
Oh no, yeah, definitely, that's right.
Interesting.
So
which can happen in the U.S., but more or less the agent has acquired the lead in most cases. Things are changing, so that's interesting. And then, so tell me, I mean, you've been in the mortgage business too, and just slightly tell us the difference between the mortgage business in the UK and the United States, because you were in that for a while.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it's very similar.
Okay,
good. The
good.
mortgage game is actually very similar. Over here, you do have to be, because you're dealing with a financial product, you have to take what's called a CMAP, which is a relatively high qualification, in the same way that in the States you have to take a qualification as well. In both sides, the mortgage broker differs from going to the banks or the lenders, because they have the ability to help the member of the public across the board, right, and give them the best deal possible. Now over here, I have a feeling that I know what it's like over in the States, but certainly over here, members of the public now realize, actually, even though they're supposed to be completely impartial, brokers have, and they got into trouble for this in the past, pushed people towards things where they got a better commission, things like that. The main difference over here is that and this is another reason I had a lot of mortgage brokers in the US. Over here, there has become a battle between the mortgage brokers, because there were certain laws passed that effectively stopped what happens in the US, which is you get a percentage of the loan amount. So over here, that doesn't happen very often. So they charge a fee for setting up the mortgage. And what that has ended up meaning is that companies now compete on price. So I'll talk to a mortgage broker over here who wants to generate leads, but he or she only earns, £499 or something for setting up a mortgage. Whereas when I speak to mortgage brokers in the States, if they, sell a house is sold and they provide the mortgage, they get a percentage of that. So they're getting $2,000, $3,000, $6,000 or whatever it is for that mortgage. So it's much better paid.
What's the interest rate? What's the interest rate there where you're at in London?
It depends obviously on your credit score.
Right.
But they can be very low, right down to sort of 2.5%.
Yeah.
I would say an average is probably about 4-ish.
Is it a 30-year amortized loan, or is it shorter?
It's normally a 25-year. Over here, it's normally 25. You can have 30, and I think 35 now, but it's normally a 25, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So you got into, so you've been selling for a long time. Just give me your overall, and we've talked before, but what is your overall philosophy on salesmanship and really being a good salesman? What does it take in today's market, do you think? And this is a general question, but you've been on a lot
in general for selling anything.
Yeah. I mean, what does it take today with technology, social media, all these things going on, and you're trying to acquire leads? What does it take to be good? I mean, I don't think we've lost There's some basic things. What do you think?
No, I was going to say, I think that I think the basic things, as you know, I started early 90s, and some of the books I have on the bookshelves here are from 1985.
Yeah.
The core of it is still, if you are an honest and ethical salesman, this is anyway, or woman, the basics are still true. The questions you ask are still the same. The objections you still receive are still the same. You listen more than you speak. The questions that you ask should, be open-ended until you, until you're closing. But I think that there's a few things that I've noticed with, especially in industries such as mortgage and things like that, that are not as harsh, if you like, or as strong as, let's say, timeshare or stuff like that. They asking for the order is obviously key. People usually ask for the order, get a no, and then that's it, it's finished. Most of the orders come in after asking 4 or 5 times, and most people don't like doing that because it gets very uncomfortable, especially if you're in somebody's house. But you can get away with a lot in somebody's house if you've got a nice smile on your face and you're saying it, with a bit of a chuckle.
You think the consumer has changed a little bit because of all this technology? Do they expect something different?
Yes. Because
what do you think they expect from a salesperson now?
Well, I think that a lot of the time before the salesperson ever goes in or talks to them, the consumer is 100 times more knowledgeable and ready for what's coming because they've done their research. So if you have somebody that is a lead and is somebody in front of you or on the phone, they have already done their research. They are what we use a lot of data when we're doing our advertising. We buy a lot of data, and that data is called in-market data. And the reason it's called in-market data is because these people have already been showing across their browser history and things that they've been doing that they are in market. They've done their research. They've looked across, many different companies, the kind of interest rates they can get, or the properties, how much they kind of are, and what's available. And so they are much better prepared for when they speak to you. They've also probably, in fact, I would say probably 95% of the time, they've probably also looked you up. So your social standing on social media has to be there, has to be legitimate. And they will have looked you up probably. That's a very, very high probability. The other thing about technology at the moment is that really we should be using it to make our lives easier and to increase our sales. So automation, personalized automation is the way that everybody should be going. And it's one of the things that makes some of the guys that we have, some of the clients that we have absolutely no difference in the way they generate their leads, but the amount of money they make can be 10 times what some of the other guys are making. And that's just because of one thing, and that's following up.
So let me go back. So do you think, and I don't want to put your words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing is that the salesperson has to be a little more, let's just say, sophisticated in their delivery because they're looking for more an advisor, consultant, expert than a salesy type of guy, which means they're translating all this data now to the consumer, and the consumer is doing research to find that best person. So it's a little bit of a different game, right?
Yeah.
And then and we talk about this a lot together, is the importance in lead follow-up. But let's go back to what Facebook is doing now to us, and the changes that Facebook has had, because you're doing a lot with Facebook.
Yeah.
What are some of the mistakes people make in using Facebook compared to what it was before and what it is right now?
Yeah, so Facebook has been an instrumental part in everything that we do, as you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that have been running it very, very successfully. If you're a real estate agent or a mortgage broker watching this, you will be fully aware that there are a lot of annoying people out there like me who have been trying to tap you up for business to get your lead generation. There's a reason for this, and the reason is that it is if you know what you're doing, it's relatively easy. I don't really want to use the word easy, but if you know how to use Facebook and you know how to optimize campaigns properly and all that sort of good technical stuff, then you can generate leads on demand. You know, there's no doubt. If me and you were to open a real estate business, as you well know already, and I've seen it many times, we would never need any leads. I mean, we would have leads every single day coming in without a fail, right? The problem is that people have been burnt that so many times that then when somebody legitimate asks them whether they want to do it, they don't actually trust them and believe it, which is fair enough. But Facebook has changed dramatically, even since, well, it's changing all the time. So even since August the 26th, it's totally changed from what it was before that. So this time last year was totally different. The year before that was totally different. The prices are changing all the time. On average, Facebook is about 200% more expensive than this time last year.
Wow.
And this is for a number of reasons. One, there are thousands of new ad accounts and people starting to advertise on Facebook every day. That's always been the case for the last couple of years.
Right.
And the sort of the specialisms and the audiences that people are going after are getting, I wouldn't say saturated, but there's a lot more people going for the same audience. So, you know, people aren't very original or creative when deciding on who they want to target on Facebook. So they pick the same sort of things as everybody else, and everybody's sort of targeting the same audience. And so it gets a bit swamped with advertisers. Yeah. The hard bit is Facebook itself, because Facebook changes its policies all the time, and they had a huge, I think it was $5 billion lawsuit that they've just paid. Wow. To do with privacy and actually discrimination is what it was all about. And that hit the housing market and the credit market, and there were three markets: housing, credit, and employment. And so what happened was, on August the 26th, Facebook said to everybody on the run up to the 26th, if you are running any advertisements which fall in any of those three subjects, you now will have all of your ads turned off. You won't be able to target how you have been doing. So, instead, if you're doing housing, employment, or real estate, housing, employment, or credit, you will need to put those adverts in what they've now called a specialized category. And that specialized category means that Facebook has removed a load of the targeting that they used to use, people used to use. So now you can't just choose men or women. You have to have both. It's a much broader spectrum. And the idea is that Facebook did not want advertisers to discriminate against certain people. So what that meant was that if anybody is watching this and they were running ads, or they had people that were running their ads for them, and the amount of leads dropped off a cliff, right, or their ad account got banned, or the costs went through the roof, or the quality went down, any of those kind of things that happened since the 26th of August, that's the reason why. Because there are companies out there, we are one of the companies that we spend millions every month on ads for generating, we generate tens of thousands of leads a month, okay? And when we do that, we use data, this in-market data, which we upload into Facebook and Google, we use both, and we show the adverts to those people. So we are only showing ads to people that have got credit scores of this, whose homes are worth, you know, whatever, 300,000 upwards, who earn between 80 and 120K, or whatever the dynamics are and the, you know, demographics are that we choose. And we only show them to that market. And we have a map that shows where the hotspots are that these people are actually located. So we'll only show to them in that area. Now, what that means is that it gives us an advantage over the other marketers, the other people that are doing the similar kind of work that we're doing, because we're targeting a specific market.
Richard, can an agent do that? Is it like, because you're going broader, could a single agent, and I don't think I've ever asked you, if I'm living in a certain area and I want to cover a certain area, can we a new agent comes into business and says, gosh, I know Facebook is what I got to do. What would be the way to start that off if you want to stay in a geographic area? Could you spend a reasonable amount of money on Facebook and just work that area?
Yes, you can. Yeah. Facebook has especially for real estate, has given a minimum area that you're allowed to do now. Oh. They are changing it regularly. So whenever people are watching this, and they go onto Facebook, it might be slightly different, but they're changing it regularly. So there's a minimum radius. It was 15 miles and it was 50 miles and it went back to 50. So they're changing it on a regular basis at the moment, mainly to find out whether, what is working for people. Believe it or not, Facebook actually want the user, the end user, the Facebook users, to have a good experience through the advertising. So everybody slates Facebook and everything else, but in reality, everything they're doing is to make sure that the user has a decent experience. The moment that the users start moaning about horrible ads and things like that, then Facebook doesn't like it. So, but the reality is anybody can, any real estate agent or mortgage broker can start their own advertising campaign, marketing in the area they want, and will bring in leads every day. Like every day, they will have leads coming in every day. The hard bit, if you want to say hard, is that it's tough to work out what advert and what campaign is going to work, and you only get to that bit to find one that works by testing them. So, and the advantage, if you like, that people like me have, or other agencies, is that we've already tested. So when we have a new client come on, we know what ad we want to put up. If the agent wants seller leads, great. We go straight to what we know works, and we run the campaign. There's some automations in there, and we just press go, and away it goes. And it just spits out leads for us. Now, the bit that most people don't do, 90% of all agencies don't do, is they do not have a follow-up process. And that, to me, is the key.
Really? Which is the downfall of all this work, and then they don't follow up, which I talk to people all the time, and we talk about this.
I know you have.
So before we get to follow, just one last question on the Facebook side of it. If what would be, first of all, it's getting more expensive. So if someone was saying, I'm going to budget, because we still got to prospect all the normal ways, right? But this is one aspect of it. What would be a reasonable amount for a single person, small, independent little guy trying to build his business, to spend every month, do you think? I know it's a loaded question, but.
That is a question and a half. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So,
on average,
I suppose the best, if you're going to do it yourself and you're going to follow up and you don't want to pay for any other software and all the other stuff, if you're going to literally sit there and do it every day yourself, you need to be able to budget. I would say, let's say $35. It's hard to say. $35 per lead. Okay, so that's where they can budget their stuff from.
And a lead doesn't necessarily mean it's a viable lead, but we still have to convert the lead when it comes.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, so
you're
not being handed a gift at $35. You have to work to convert.
Yeah, exactly. What you're doing is you're putting an ad out there saying, are you looking at selling your home? Essentially, I mean that's there are certain things that we put out there. We entice people in, with giving them certain guides and things like that we do. But the reality is, somebody looking at selling their home, it's your job. They're going to give you their details. That's fine. They know you're going to call them.
Right.
It's your job then to do what you do, which is to try and get them on board and sell their home. But if you're budgeting, it goes up and down, and it goes up and down as well with many things, not just competition. It goes up and down with, economics, what's happening in across America. It can happen with the competition in your area. If you're in New York or in LA, you expect to pay more. It will cost you more. But again, you earn more money when you sell a house. The budgeting is hard to say. You will have some days, especially when you've got the grip of it and you're working it out well. some of those will take $10 a lead. And then on other days, it will be $45 a lead. So I'm talking an average, you know.
Is there across the board from what you studied an amount percent conversion on a lead that comes in? Let's say if I spent, let's say I wanted 20 leads to come in and it's $35, so I could budget $700 on that 20 leads that come in. Is there a standard conversion that you know of? Like, do I convert 5%, 3%, 10%?
Yeah. So there's a few conversions. So then when, the typical conversion from what I found anyway, over the last few years, as we were doing it in the age-old way, the normal way of doing it, you could probably expect somewhere in the region of a 4% conversion rate, right? Mm-hmm. Of cold leads from cold traffic, right? Now, some people sold more than that because of the way that they were quite harsh in following up. Not harsh, but aggressive. They didn't miss a call. They rang until they got hold of people, and you know they had a sequence in place. And this sort of 4%, 3%, 4%, 5% was always the same. It always seemed to be the same. Didn't matter whether I was talking to people and they were buying leads from, you know, Zillow or wherever they were getting them from. It was always that kind of figure, 2 to 5%. Now we have a very different set of stats, and I've literally, the reason I was turning around a minute ago was just picking up one of my things here. We have, because we run all these real estate campaigns, we've been through them all, and somebody was asking what is the average conversion rate across that I can expect. So the average conversion rate for us at the moment is about 8.6%. Now the reason for that is not just because it's not just because of us knowing what we're doing. It's down to the fact that we run our ads to a specific demographic, a specific audience. Now, you asked a minute ago, can anybody do that? Yes, they can, but they need to buy the data. And that's the reason why most people don't do it. And that's the reason why most agencies don't do it, because they cannot afford to do it.
Yeah, because I just did a little bit of math. So if I wanted 10 leads, in the average one that you just said, the average statistic of, let's say 4%.
Yeah.
Yours is 8.6, but that's, if I want 10 leads coming in that I could convert, I would need 250 leads coming in, and that will cost me, let's say on the $35, $8,750 a month, or at your 8.6, it would only cost me $4. So
that's right.
A couple of things that I'm hearing from you is that you better be with the right person in helping you that understands Facebook. And I tell you, everybody thinks they know Facebook.
That's right. Yeah.
And they don't, Richard. No. I mean, you know, I spent money, you know that. And I just go, so the Facebook game is almost becoming a game for, I know people have boosted and paid $5 a day and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's kind of rare, but it's a game for some serious players now.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, I do know people that still boost posts and things like that, and they get interest. But because boosting and things like that are very cheap, even if they get one person come through and it's, you know, becomes a listing or whatever, then that's great. I mean, and it is great. You know, you should still kind of do that sort of stuff anyway. So they're all, you know, a cherry on the cake, aren't they? They're the bonuses. But you're never going to scale or grow your business if that's what you want to do. Just doing that is very, very difficult. There's the hard work at the end or at the back end of generating leads. You've got to generate leads, push those leads through, right, and then make the money from the back.
So what about so I understand to get leads. What about branding, which is a little bit different philosophy, right? If I want to brand myself in a neighborhood of I don't know, say 1,000 homes, and I'm not really looking for a lead, but creating an image, is that a different format?
It is, yeah. So branding and stuff. When you running any sort of Facebook campaigns, there are various objectives in the dashboard. Right. So you can run lead generation campaigns, you can run branding campaigns, awareness campaigns, video campaigns, all these different things. Yeah. And they should be used accordingly. So if you are wanting to be known in and around the city that you're in or the neighborhood, you need to be running awareness campaigns. Now, the good thing about these sort of campaigns is they're a lot cheaper, and they have the same effect, if you like, of, you know, billboards or, you know, local press or, you know, a television advert or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And whilst we all do these ads on billboards to try and get more business and to try and get the phone to ring and things, it's really there for awareness, so that if and when somebody says, I want to sell my home, oh, you know, I remember seeing Bill on that massive billboard every time I drove past it, you know, to work every day. You're the first person that comes to mind. So the branding and awareness ones are fantastic for that, because you can do it very cheaply. You can have videos made. In fact, you can do them yourself. People prefer organic, sort of looking, genuine videos. You know, get your iPhone, take some video footage of yourself, and people like that honest, genuine approach. Of course, you can have videos made. You can run those videos to, you know, everybody in your set area, your city, your, you know, zip code, whatever you want to do, and you can have that playing quite regularly for not much money at all. The great thing about running videos is that every time you run your video, Facebook kind of tags everybody that watches it. So let's say that you want to run a video and you run it for 3 weeks or something, and you have however many, you know, 10,000 views or something, and Facebook tags every single person that's been watching it. So now, at the end of the 3 weeks, you can say, well, okay, I'm going to write a Facebook ad now, and I want people to, I don't know, get in touch for whatever you want to do, right?
Right.
You let's say you want to sell your house. So you write an ad and you put the ad out there, but you can tell Facebook, right, I only want you to show this ad to the people that watched 75% or more of my video.
Got it.
And so it will only show your ad to those people. And so it's very powerful, because you can start sending, you know, really personalized messages to those people. Hey, I noticed you watched my video, and you know, you can physically talk to them on a one-to-one level. And that's really what Facebook wants. Facebook wants a personalized, honest, ethical marketing campaign.
Is it important to put to create a private group eventually? Is there any difference between the private group and the page? The pages.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. So Facebook is moving, or over the last 12 months, really, probably a bit more, has been moving towards groups. There are several reasons for this. So regardless of what anybody says, Facebook is a pay-to-play platform. Organic reach is pretty much dead. I mean, if you have a page and you've got, you know, 10,000 people liking your page, that's all well and good. That's great. But if you post something on your page, I think it's about 2 or 3% of people actually ever get to see it. They don't get notified you've posted. They don't see it. Facebook don't really want organic. So whereas if you have a group and you have 10,000 people in that group and you post something, they all get notified that you just posted in your group. So you're going to get a much higher percentage of people, 70, I think it is, or 70, 80% of people will essentially get to see that post.
Yeah. So that changes the game.
Yeah, it is totally different. So I know several people that make their entire living from building a group up and then selling whatever products they've got through their group. So because the other thing about the group is you give good quality content, you help people out, you give good advice, and then boom, all of a sudden you're selling something. And
so you're kind of like a mini influencer.
Yeah, your faithful, that's right, your faithful followers trust you, know you, like you, and then they'll buy something from you. So it's a little bit like the old days of email marketing, where you build an email list and you send out a good quality newsletter every week or every month, and then eventually you've got a product.
Now you mentioned something here, man. Now I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, no.
So now watch email, Facebook. I mean, do we need to combine them? Do we need to get, what's going on with email? Because that used to be the Facebook of the past, right? Email was it.
Yeah, well,
what's happening now?
Yes. Now, email marketing and email lists, you can still make millions and millions and millions of dollars from doing it. Don't get me wrong. In fact, I was at an event this weekend, and some of the speakers there were for copywriting, and they were email marketers and things like that. One of the guys there is a very famous guy, a very famous copywriter in the States called Matt Bazak, and he has done over $200 million just through emails. Okay. So the traditional way of doing it was to build a list and run email campaigns to them with offers in there where people would buy. Okay. And at the time, emails were being opened left, right, and center. They were new, they were interesting, they were special. Over the last so many years, that's died. So now your email open rate is probably 5 to 15%. So they don't open them very much. I mean, I'm a classic example. If you look on the front of my phone, I have like 120,672 emails that are not opened. People don't.
I remember that when I send you one.
Well, I'd skim through them all, and then I open the ones that I want to look at. But the thing about email is that they don't get opened very much. So you should still use email, but you should couple that together with text messages, which has a huge 80 odd percent open rate. Facebook messages, which has even higher open rate. And voice calls and voicemails as well. And the reason is because different people prefer different communication strategies. And it depends as well on the time of day. A lot of people will be at work. They can't answer the phone. They're not allowed to look at their emails, but they may check their text. You know what I mean? And you should have an all-encompassing system that allows you to communicate in a way that is good for the client and not for you. It should be all about them, in my opinion, anyway.
What we haven't talked about, and we haven't talked about this, and I don't know if this is relevant, but you have Instagram now becoming a lot more popular. Is that for business? I see that's growing. Is that something that you see growing?
Yes, it is. Yes. So all of these platforms are amazing in their own ways, but they are all, the thing you should look at is the audience that is on the platform. So Instagram is obviously a lot younger than Facebook. So if you have a product that is perfect for that kind of demographic, then Instagram is the way to go. And same as Twitter. Twitter's very good. Twitter ads used to work quite well. We haven't done that many of them recently, but they were very good. Twitter is still a good thing to use, although we don't use it that much. And then you've got things like TikTok. I don't know whether you've ever heard of TikTok.
Yeah, I've heard of TikTok. Yep.
Yeah, TikTok is huge, and in fact, they released something last week saying that they will never sell to Facebook. They've said that because Facebook.
Famous last words.
Yeah,
well, the money on the table.
You see, it's worth a lot of money already. They don't need to. I mean, they're already advertising. It's very cheap to advertise on TikTok. We've tried it a few times now. Extraordinarily cheap, but the demographics are very young. If you've got a product that's for people between 16 and 24, TikTok could be the way to go because it's cheap. That's all the people that are on there. It's purely video driven, and it's a great new platform. 125 million US people have signed up for TikTok this year alone.
Wow. So Richard, as we wrap up things here a little bit, I could feel the tension from the viewers going, man, I got to learn all the stuff. But bottom line to all of this is the interaction with a human being, isn't it? I mean, when you look at all this stuff and you go, oh my gosh, email, text, Richard's telling, how do I do all this stuff? And he's now telling me to spend all this money. But there is an element of this stuff that you should use. I think a little bit, email, texting, Facebook, voicemail, Instagram is you don't have to be a huge expert and spend a ton of money, but use it as almost like another communication device, right? Which it is. I mean, it's, phone, television was a big thing. Cable TV was a big thing. And then, but should we get overwhelmed? I mean, how do we not get so overwhelmed? Well, how do we start, man? Because
this is the biggest problem of all, is shiny object syndrome. There are a lot of sort of platforms and software out there that help you automate all sorts of different things to do with this. And the key to it is simplicity all the way through. All you need, but you do need to test the ad side of it first, so that you get to a point where it's working. Okay, too many people do the ads, start the ads, and it doesn't work in the first 3 days. In fact, that's what I was talking about at the weekend. You got to have patience, a little bit of patience.
Yeah. Okay? Well, show me a salesperson with patience.
Well,
Find that one.
Well, this is the problem. You know, this is the thing. I mean, you have to let it run. The reason is you've got to give Facebook, the algorithm is very, very clever. You have to give Facebook the time to learn what it is the hell you want. Right. And when it does, it will just help you. If it doesn't, and you switch things off too soon and all this stuff, it actually harms your account. It's like a credit score. Right. So you need to make it simple. So essentially all you need is an ad going through to some sort of a capture page where you can capture their details, and then a way of notifying you that you've got a new lead. Now, in essence, that's the most basic way of doing it, and you will be fine doing that if you follow up with that new lead. And this is where people say, "Oh, I can't do this," within 5 minutes. Right. If you follow up with a lead within 5 minutes, you are 8 times more likely to get that deal. That is a factual stat. Now, the other thing, of course, is that half of all sales go, as you know this anyway, we spoke about this before, but half of all sales go to the first person that they speak to. So if you couple the fact that you're 50% more likely to get the sale if you are the first one they talk to, and then you're 8 times more likely to get the sale if you talk to them within the first 5 minutes, then you have to talk to them immediately. The problem is, and the reason for that is that the leads go cold real quick. So they see your ad, they like it, they get all kind of excited, they have the internal heart flutter and they want to get things done. They enter their details, they're all excited, and they press submit. And then they wait. And then a few minutes goes by, or maybe 20 minutes goes by. And then, little Johnny, wants to get this, you've got to go and do this, or you've got to go back to work, or you've got to, whatever.
It goes cold.
Goes cold. You call them back 2 hours later, or 4 hours later, or the following day. Oh, this is an interesting stat too. And then the excitement isn't there. It's just not the same. They probably have forgotten that they've even done it. A lot of the time that happens. Do you know how? Let me ask you a question. Yeah. How fast? And this is again another stat taken from a university study in America. The fastest, or the average, I beg your pardon, the average follow-up response time for a salesman or person to get in touch with a prospect. How long do you think the average time is?
Days. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Oh, yeah, go on.
Yeah, no. I think it's gonna. I know it's long. I don't know what the number is, but I know it's not. It's long, and it's. And there's a stat that I always teach that 70% of your appointments will come from effective lead follow-up. So if you're not effectively lead following up, you just lost a lot of money. I don't know so what's the number. What did they say?
We'll put it this way. Well, they came up with the average. I think it was Harvard or somewhere. I think it was Harvard.
Yeah. I
don't know. The average time was 44 hours.
44 hours.
Not 44 minutes. 44. I've forgotten where I was 44 hours ago.
Yeah.
Now, if that's the average person and they're making an average living, you don't have to do much to be better than that and to earn an extraordinary living. So But there are plenty of things that you can use to automate this follow-up process. So that as soon as that lead comes in, bang, you've automatically but personally got back to them, so that they know that you're thinking about them, they are top of your mind, and you're trying to book a call with them immediately.
Man, 44 days, so 44 hours, excuse me. Yeah. So listen, this has been unbelievable. I always enjoy talking to you. You always have great information. If someone says, man, I got to get something going with my business, or I have a question about this, where can they get a hold of you, Richard?
Well, they can email me feel free to email me.
You don't answer your emails. No, just kidding.
Well, my business email is slightly different. Okay. My business email, I'm pretty shrewd with that one.
Okay.
So it's Richard at GC Digital.
I'll say Richard at G as in George, C as in cat, digital.
That's it. And then the ending is .co.uk.
Okay, so .co.uk, which is different than America. So Richard at gcdigital.co.uk.
That's it. Yep. Or they can find me on Facebook. They can find me on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, I mean, or check the website out, obviously. Or get in touch with you.
Yeah. Call me up, and they can find me, or get with Espresso, and they'll find us. But hey, Richard, this has been great. I could talk forever, you know that about this, and it's also fascinating and very helpful. I believe what you gave out was really, really helpful. So thanks so much, and we'll talk soon. And appreciate you being on the Mastery and Espresso.
No worries. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.